I try and start every show in a good mood, and I try and start every show in positive spirits. But I got to be honest with you, I'm so hangry right now that this should be a good half an hour show because I'm fueled up. I'm ready to go. What's going on? It's Art from the Art of Combat podcast, joined by my friends Matt and Mike. Matt from Serenity CBD, Mike from Delusional Central, who thinks that Stipe was going to get a decision. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I
was there
not
too,
alone
so
on
yeah,
that.
I was with you.
You're not alone. I mean,
I'm going down with the ship.
61% of all the money in Vegas was on Stipe, so I don't feel...
Yeah, that's very true, and I get that. Let's start with the fire. Let's start with the headline. Francis Ngannou knocks out Stipe Miocic in the second round to become the UFC heavyweight champion. That's just, as weird as it sounds to say it out loud, it's also like, well, it kind of makes sense. Like, the dude was on a roll. Four fight win streak, 4 first-round knockouts. He had a total of, like, less than 5 minutes of fight time, and then he comes in and dethrones one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Matt, were you surprised? Were you shocked? And what was your emotions on Saturday night?
I guess I wasn't really surprised. It went past 2 minutes, which, we thought that would happen. But I guess the fact that I was surprised with was, and again, not exactly surprising, but Ngannou worked on his weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that was something that we weren't able to see in his previous fight, so we weren't exactly sure if he was working on it or not. But quickly, when watching that fight, you realized that Ngannou was a different fighter. When you saw him with stuff that takedown, immediately my pick switched.
That's what's crazy about, I mean, literally, like, within the first round, when he stuffed the takedown and then he got a takedown, it's like, I couldn't believe that was actually a thing. Like, holy shit, we just watched the guy who got grappled, for 5 rounds in their first match. Then he comes back in the second match and he's like, no, not today. Like, he literally just, he got a takedown on Stipe.
Right, that's why I didn't think he was going to be in the fight as much as he was, because Ngannou, he's got plan A. It's knocking the person out, right?
Right.
And with Stipe, he's got plan A, plan B, he seeks around for those chinks in the armor until he finds them. And Saturday night, he just didn't have time to find that chink. I mean, and when he thought he had it, that's when he really got cracked.
Yeah.
When he connected after he was staggered, I think it was DC said it right then. He's like, that was the worst thing that could happen to Stipe.
Yeah,
because he thought he hurt Francis, and he didn't.
Well, and he couldn't get his bearings together either. And you know what? I will say this, like, I look at press conferences and weigh-ins and interactions, and Stipe just kind of seemed like he always does, like, kind of just like, I'm here, like, I got a baby on the way and stuff.
Even
and
between rounds, he seemed like that, didn't
he
it?
seemed
when they
very,
him in the
like,
corner,
foggy. And I compared it to almost like Kevin Holland, of just like that, where am I? What's going on? Like, you could never get it going. I mean, if there's 20 rounds, even at the 20th round, you're still like almost like you got like rocked in Mortal Kombat or something.
Yeah.
Like, I felt that from the opening bell of Stipe and Francis.
100%. And that's one thing that we've talked on too, is sometimes a fight will start, and like me, I had Stipe.
Yeah.
And immediately within the first 2 minutes, I was like, I've got the wrong pick.
Isn't it crazy though how
I
quickly
felt okay
it's so
when the first
quickly.
round ended, though.
Did you? See, I immediately thought, I was like, I'm wrong.
You felt okay when the first round ended?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
I felt like he was going to gather himself, and I've seen him do it before, right?
Well,
many times.
Well, we talked about the Cormier fight.
I thought that would like wake him up, because he didn't look awake.
Yeah.
He looked so calm, and which is part of why he's great. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's much harder to defend the title than it is to win it the first time, though. And I forget a lot of people have said you're not a champion until you defend.
True.
So we'll see how Ngannou does in his first defense now that everybody's coming after him.
And speaking of first defense, it's like, listen, we get it.
Set up that transition.
I know. That was, thank you. That was podcasting 101. I will put my bias aside. I will leave my heart out of this and say John Jones deserves a boatload of money. Like, honestly, think about it. When Izzy moved up to light heavyweight, I was like, man, I hope that they're paying the man extra. Obviously, with pay-per-view points, you get a little bit extra, and you better hope that that's on every UFC fighter's contract. Yeah. But with Jones, this is something different, man. You're moving up to, like, the king of the mountains. He has every right to bitch about not getting paid as much. Like, and I don't like John Jones. I've openly admitted it a million times. There's a couple on the list that I just can't stand. But I tell you what, Jones has every right. He's facing a mythical creature known as Francis Ngannou. Pay the man his money.
This thing is going to sell pay-per-views like
my
crazy.
Yeah. Do you think, Matt, best-selling pay-per-view of all time?
Yeah, that's exactly what went to my mind.
It has to be.
I would have to say yes. Who would not watch this fight?
Yeah, it has to be. Like, when I think of two people that I want to watch fight, like, that's it. Like, Francis and John Jones, like, John Jones is talking all this shit about going up to heavyweight, and I'm this, that, and the third. Like, okay, now you're going to prove it against arguably the baddest motherfucker on planet Earth. Like, right now at this moment. Like, sure.
Ultimate matchup.
Oh, yeah, it really is. Like, when you think of super fights, you think of fighters like John Jones and so-and-so. Like, you know, John Jones. I would have taken John Jones and Stipe or John Jones and Francis. I just want to see what John Jones is capable of at heavyweight. It's crazy that it's actually a possibility. The only person to really fuck this up is John Jones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's going to out-talk him out of himself out of getting the fight.
Doesn't it feel, though, the same way like when Cormier beat Stipe, though, and they just ignored, like they didn't give Stipe the immediate rematch?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's probably thinking, like, hold on, guys, I could beat this guy. I'm 1-1 against him.
I don't know.
I deserve a chance.
I think Stipe's done.
I'd like to hear from him.
But we haven't heard from him yet,
Well,
so we don't know.
We have. He has.
We did? Okay.
Yeah, he's on the phone right now. No, I'm joking. He did release a quote saying, "I'm okay." I know a lot of people were asking.
Yeah, I saw the photo.
Yeah, like the way that I fell wasn't the best and everything. And he said that he wants to focus on his son who's about to be born and this summer and focus on that. So to me, I don't think we see Stipe for the rest of 2021. I think he's I think he's out.
Probably right.
Stipe usually only fights once a year, twice if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And really at his age, he's what, 38?
I think he's 38.
I mean, come on, man. Like you're reaching.
Yep.
Randy Couture was fighting at 40, but he was Glover Teixeira's fighting at 40. But that's because they wanted to. With Stipe, it's always been like.
It's his second job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's really
it's
easy
it's the part-time gig on the weekend. I mean, don't get it twisted.
insane.
He takes his training camp seriously, but when your job is literally hunching people over your shoulder.
He's a firefighter,
Yeah, so I think that they'll set up. Here's my prediction. Like if I had, and I don't have like a water crystal. I guess I've got the crystal jug looking into it.
That is enormous.
I know, it's the biggest jug. It's as big as my head. If I had to predict, I think Jones, Nagano, Fall 2021, ATT Stadium in Texas.
Oh, that'd be unreal.
Love it.
I mean, that to me would be, it would blow the doors off of anything the UFC has ever done.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, heavyweight fights usually make a lot of money. Heavyweight title fights make even more money. 2 super fights. I mean, but let's do some early predictions.
Oh,
okay.
jeez.
Yeah. I know it's a little early, but let's do some early predictions. Where do you guys, who do you see coming out as the winner? Should Jones and Francis fight at heavyweight?
I'm just wondering who they're even going to make the favorite going into that fight.
They've already come out, and Francis is already the favorite.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Which is kind of crazy to me because, Jones has fought those massive strikers before.
And Jones just has so many more tools.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Francis, he has the power. He did show he threw some kicks. He showed he has a little wrestling. But don't you think... John Jones, if he goes for that single leg, pulls it quicker and moves quicker, and
so against Francis, though, it's not like Stipe is fighting Francis again. You have a natural 205
Jones is the
pounder,
same age as Ngannou, maybe a little younger. He's got that athlete body.
I know, but
he's quicker. He's quicker than Stipe.
What is Ngannou's weight when he?
That was 263.
263
is what he weighed in at.
The thing that...
So how much can Bones Jones pack on?
Right. That's going to be the most important thing.
I mean, we know his brother, like Chandler Jones and stuff like that. He can pack on some pounds. I'm sure he can fill out like his brothers can. I would assume.
Well, we never know what was Jones walking around at when he was fighting at light heavyweight, when he was weighing in at 205, but he was definitely going into the ring at 220.
Yeah, for sure.
So he probably walks around at 235.
That's what I was thinking, 240, 235.
I'm looking at stats right now. John Jones, 33 years old, 6'4", and obviously his fight weight is 205 at light heavyweight. Francis Ngannou, 34, 6'4", and 263. So literally, as far as you stand these two guys up next to each other, and I think what we do is we take for granted, that there's so much of a difference because you look at heavyweight and light heavyweight, when really, Brado, you bring up a great point. They're the same height.
Yeah.
Jones obviously needs to catch up to get to that 265, but he could very easily do that. And the next thing you know, they're the same person.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. Light heavyweight and heavyweight, there's not much difference, and yet it's a super fight because of that difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
when Stipe grabbed that single leg, if he pulls it a lot quicker, Francis was off balance a lot in that fight. You go back and watch it. He was off balance quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Stipe just couldn't take advantage of it. He just didn't have the quickness or whatever. John Jones is a different animal.
Jones does these weird moves, though. Like, I'll never forget the Lyoto Machida where he literally was a standing up guillotine and put him to sleep. And I was just like, you did that to Machida. Like, you did that to one of the greats and just put him out, lights out. You know, you look at his record, I think had it not been for obviously the picograms, the Olympic swimming pool, you couldn't even, and the criminal stuff that we would be talking to him as the greatest of all time.
For sure.
Bar none.
Absolutely.
No one will ever compete. I mean, you look at Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira, Daniel Cormier, and that's just since 2015 and below. Then you look Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, like, he has nothing else left to prove, but if he beat Francis, there's always going to be that asterisk by his name, obviously. But if Francis beats Jones, you have a new superstar that is just no one. I mean, what are you going to do then? So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I agree. And one thing I would say, too, is I think this is the perfect fight, too, just because of the fact that I think Bones Jones is the one man that has the toolkit to beat him. He has the kicks. Like we were talking about earlier, I think with Ngannou, you got to chop him down.
Yeah.
You got to work that front leg. You got to get some body
and no
kicks.
One is really, I mean, sure, Stipe was throwing a couple, but that's what surprised me about the Francis fight is Francis was throwing a lot of kicks, and it's almost like, and now in the world of MMA, it's not who throws the most kicks, it's who throws the kicks first. Because if you notice, like a lot of these fights, like even with Sugar Sean O'Malley and Almeida, which we're going to talk about, obviously, like. Once that first kick is thrown, the other person plays defense. Yeah. And then for the rest of the fight, the person who is offensive with the kicks just keeps going at it, going at it.
Everything Francis did on Saturday was a little bit of a surprise for Stipe. Probably a little bit of a surprise. He started throwing kicks right away. The takedown defense had to surprise him. The way he kind of tried to take his back, you don't see Francis do those things. I mean, so that's why I say it's harder to defend because now people have seen all those things. So
before
Saturday night, people hadn't seen Francis go past round one.
The other thing is Jones hasn't fought since February of 2020. So we're going to be coming up on almost 2 years if they do the fight in the winter or the fall or whatever. Like, you've got to take that into consideration a little bit. But then again, you don't because Jones has been suspended before. So it's
that's true.
He comes back. But the last thing that I'm going to say about this. Nagano is going to have a lot more time to prep for someone like Jones. Jones, on the other hand, has looked rustier and rustier as each fight has gone on. Dominic Reyes, he didn't look like the same John Jones. Like, he didn't. The fight before that didn't look the same. He looked different.
Could that be a lack of enthusiasm, though, and a lack of, like...
That's true,
and I wonder what he's doing, too, sometimes.
And he just thinks he's so much better than all those guys, like he doesn't have to try. And, I mean, I think Stipe might have had a little bit of that in him, too.
And how he'd be partying the week before.
I'd actually heard that from some of his relatives, that Stipe just thought he was far superior.
You mentioned that as a plus, though, at the beginning of, when you were placing your bets.
I think it's a confidence thing.
Right. But now it's like, well, shit, man, the guy kind of just went in like, yeah, I'll fight you. To where, like, with Jones, I think if they offer him the right amount of money and they offer him what he wants, he's going to come into this fight excited. When you look at who's fought, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, no one to really, if you're in that division, if you're anybody else other than Jones, nobody else really to get up off the couch for. That's not exciting. You had Gustafsson and Daniel Cormier before that. Two fighters where it's like, okay, that's worth it. But those other three fighters, Anthony Smith, Santos, and Reyes, you're like, I mean, I guess I'll get up. Now, Jones has plenty of options because he can go fight. He could go fight Francis at heavyweight, but then where does that leave Blachowicz? Who's Blachowicz going to fight? Because John Jones pretty much left the division. I mean, UFC 260 really made you think a lot about other divisions.
John Jones has definitely done at light heavyweight. That's over forever.
Well, and if he goes to heavyweight,
tweet he sent that he said I didn't put on all this weight for nothing or whatever. Responding to Dana White, he's committed to heavyweight now.
Yeah.
And is he younger than Francis? Am I wrong about that? Or are they the same age?
Jones?
Yeah.
Jones and Francis.
I think he's a year younger.
There's a 1 year
Yeah.
difference. Yeah.
1
year difference.
So it's not like he's still young.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially in the heavyweight division, too. Like, 40 is usually, like, the cap.
Yeah.
Jones could fight at heavyweight for a couple more years. Do I see him doing it? No, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Moving on to the co-main event, Vicente Luque defeats Tyrone Woodley via submission, a submission in the first round. I think we all can agree it was nice to see, even if it only was for a minute and 30 or, a minute something, to see that old Tyrone Woodley that was quickly... defeated, but he looked good. Like, it was like he came in and was like, hey, I'm here to do business. And then he got, slaughtered by Vicente Luque. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had Vicente wobbled, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Both fighters were wobbled.
Yeah, both were.
Yeah, that fight to me was interesting. Definitely a performance for Vicente Luque. I mean, when you look at Colby Covington, had to take 5 rounds almost to finish him.
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman, it took a while. I think that fight went to decision, if I'm not mistaken. Gilbert Burns didn't finish him that quickly, and then you see Vicente Luque come in and get it done in the first round.
Yeah, well, he had one big shot that really took care of things.
Yeah.
And to me, the submission was almost like the humane way to end the fight.
Yeah,
like, he
it really
definitely
was.
could have kept going and knocked him out. It was like he almost slow motion that submission too. Like he just took his time, sunk it in, and said, "All right."
You know what kind of shocked me about it is that Woodley came out and it almost seemed like Woodley had a stopwatch in his head, and he's like, "I'm going to give it the best that I can for a minute." And then after that, I'm done. It really seemed... But that's what happens when obviously you get hit with some massive shots, and I get that. But it just seemed like once Woodley realized that Vicente Luque is a true contender in that division, and he got hit with that good shot, he started backing up. He's like, oh, shit. Like, he didn't want any of those problems.
Well, right when the fight started, too, he came out and he tried throwing the home run punch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
And that was
not,
great.
But,
like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
You're not really going to lose much by throwing a giant haymaker because the other person's just going to back up. Or they're going to take it to the face like Ben Askren. Like, when with Woodley, we're pretty much all confident he's going to Bellator, right?
Well, I think all these guys, like him and Tony Ferguson, once they get a little taste of losing, they start making changes to their game instead of sticking with what made them great to begin with.
Yeah.
And you just saw that, like, you never saw Tyrone Woodley, like, rush out like that before.
No.
He's tried to make a drastic change to his game because of a couple losses instead of doing what always made him great. And
that's the best point that Matt has brought up on this podcast, is that fighters that are losing tend to come out and be rushed. And you witnessed it multiple times with the card. It worked for some. It didn't work for others.
True.
With Woodley, it didn't work for him. And Mike, you had brought this up. This is the last fight on his contract.
Yeah.
He's off to Bellator. Or you know what? He might join Anthony Pettis at the PFL.
You're not going to bring a bare knuckle?
Oh, man.
I don't know if Woodley would do that.
Your favorite?
He wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't. He is a clinch fighter, although you've seen him get taken advantage in the clinch, so a lot more than what he's done to other fighters. Man, I keep thinking, though, that would be great. Woodley just throwing bombs, just getting back to it.
I mean, he's still dangerous.
He is.
He is.
Do like a Woodley and Chris Lehman. Just like the two, because Chris is still there. Now you got me
and you
thinking.
forget, too, Woodley is 38. He
might hang it up and just become a full-time rapper. He's a talented rapper.
Is he?
No, he's fucking trash.
Does he have a rap career going on?
Yeah, he's got a rap career. I think he's got a
that
song.
shows how good it is.
Yeah, he's got a song with Wiz Khalifa. It's it's bad. And like, I don't want to bash Woodley. He defended the belt 4 times.
Yeah.
He had a great career, but it's just like it wasn't.
He was
working.
a bad boy for a long time.
Oh yeah. I mean, what he did to Robbie Lawler, like, whew, what he did to Josh Koscheck, like, he. The one quote that has stood out more than anything with this is he went out on a shield, and I respect him for that. He could have easily said, you know what, I'll become a commentator, or whatever. I mean, I don't know if Dana would allow that, but
and that's,
well, he's been doing. I've seen him on some of the post-fight stuff, and he's
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah,
I mean, he looks good in a suit.
decent.
He's a handsome man.
He's a good-looking dude.
Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is too, like guys like Woodley, when like we're talking about their fights, and I'm kind of like, hey, he's done this and that, doesn't mean we don't have respect for the guys.
No.
Like, I love Tyrone Woodley. He is one of the guys that helped build up the UFC.
Yeah.
And some of these guys, the reason the UFC is where it is because of guys like Tyrone Woodley, and you have to respect that.
Definitely. Let's move on to Sugar Sean O'Malley against Thomas Almeida. That fight.
Here we go.
That fight was exciting. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I expected way more out of Almeida, who
As did
literally just fucking, like, 99% of Almeida fighting. Here it is. That was it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, no forward movement.
The length. He did not like the length.
You literally witnessed the fucking guy in the first round have leg issues. And what did you do? You didn't kick his fucking legs. Like, what are we doing? And I understand, like, you know, obviously O'Malley's got the reach. I mean, he could hit fish from standing right here if he wanted to. Like, he's got an incredible reach. Mm-hmm. What the fuck were you doing, man? Like, it completely... That was honestly, like, that was a brain over the heart pick, and I'll explain why. Because Almeida's 22-4. He's got more experience. Yeah. We went all through this on the betting podcast. But, yeah, I mean, O'Malley looked fresh. He looked great.
He did.
He did. You know, O'Malley's one of those fighters you could either love him or hate him. Right now I'm going through a super hate phase. I just can't stand the guy. But great win. Great win.
It's time for him to fight somebody ranked.
I'm going to give you a name.
Let's hear it.
And he's already accepted the fight. They just literally need to put it on contract.
Okay, I know who you're going to say now.
Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
What do you think? Dominic Cruz and
you think they do that?
I'd love to see it.
I mean, yeah, as would I. I'm just.
You want to talk about like the ultimate display of head movement and just unorthodox moving? I think it's either going to be one of the greatest fights or one of the most.
But didn't you say
Cody
called him out, Matt?
Yeah, Cody called him out after the fight too.
I would think Cody would be above that right now.
You know what? No, not really. I mean, he wants to, Cody wants to get back in there. I tweeted about that on Sunday. I said, listen, as of right now, and I'm not counting Sterling as a fucking champion because he's not a champion. Like, he's not. You won off of
I hate even seeing that loss next to Jan's name.
Yeah, but when I think about it, there's no American champs. I think Cody is the one to become an American champ. Set up the Sugar Sean fight. Have him fight someone that...
TJ.
Dude, please no.
You're going to make me lose my mind today.
If there's one UFC fighter I have mad hate, it's TJ.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can't.
I'll leave him alone.
You know what?
I can't.
I would love to see either Cody's or I would love to see. Jeez, oh Pete, I can't think today. We were just talking about him. He's sponsored by you. I just tweeted about him.
Kyler?
No, not
Cody?
Kyler.
Cody Stamen?
Yeah, Cody.
Brandon?
Yeah, thank you. I got the Garbrandts and the Stamens. I'd love to see Cody and Sugar Sean. I would love to see that fight.
I think that'd be a good fight.
I think Sugar Sean, he's got to vault up the rankings faster though. He has this quality about him. It's like I don't know. I mean, it's like a Nate Diaz type quality.
Definitely.
I agree.
So that will sell things and sell pay-per-views and make people. You want to watch that crazy hair and
you do
the way he acts in the ring and the way he moves around and his goofiness is. It's interesting.
Do you see him getting? Yeah. Do you see him getting past his foot issues though? Because even in the Almeida fight, like he was limping a little bit. He played it off like he wasn't. But
I couldn't tell if that was real or he was doing that to be
true. That's
goof.
A good point.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point because he is like that.
Because he's a dick like that, right?
Yeah.
Like he was doing so many like Max Holloway moves, like the look away, and I'm just like, he just comes off as like. Very Nate Diaz, now that you bring it up, like someone that's there mentally, but there's a tiny little bit about him that just doesn't make sense. And big shout out to Adam. Adam made money off of him and Francis. So nice. I mean, if it works,
he gets that it's a show, and he puts on a show when he goes in there.
And that's got to be so hard to do though. Like that, literally,
he has the talent right now, and the speed, and the youth, and he has everything to do it right now.
Yeah.
When it catches up to him, somebody's gonna just make him pay.
Oh yeah.
One thing I'll say too.
But
is he can really relate to the people as well. Like after the fight, he tweeted out and he was like, he said something along the lines of like, just kick some ass. All I want to do is go play COD with the boys.
Yeah.
Like people love that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I would love him to death. I would think he's the greatest ever, and I would be singing high praise of him if he admitted that he is an undefeated. He literally has merch that says undefeated. Like, dude, come on. Like, you know what? And had Cheeto Vera beat Jose Aldo, we'd be talking about them running it back.
They, when they make the for the Super Bowl, they make it for both teams.
Yeah.
What do you do with that old box of merch?
Oh no, we're gonna keep it and we're gonna wear it. They won totally. Yeah. Do we need to talk about Maverick versus Robertson? I mean, we're getting towards the end of this show.
Yeah,
I'd rather talk about Malarkey and Worthy. Miranda Maverick is a ranked opponent. She's going to move up in the rankings as she
has
should.
stuff to work on.
Yeah, that's all you can really say is like
her striking was great. It was crisp. It was
She had a good win. She's got stuff to work on though before she continues to win and move up.
Let's cover last fight here. I mean, we could do some quick mentions of Menefield and Water Buffalo. That was crazy. But let's talk about Malarkey and Worthy. Woo! First round knockout, 46 seconds in. Malarkey letting you know that he's not full of malarkey. Like, he's the real deal. Like, that was a phenomenal performance.
Caught him right on the button.
Right on the button. I mean, and one thing that, like, I have a love-hate relationship with is watching fighters become wobbled. It makes me uncomfortable. I'd rather see just a full...
Woodley had stiff legs.
What's that?
Yeah. Woodley had stiff legs. Did you see how his legs were stiff?
To where with Worthy, like, he was on skates.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was.
There's a part of me that loves it, and there's another part of me that's like, I hate seeing it. Like, you know that person's not there. You know?
No.
The Kevin Lee effect. I mean, Kevin Lee was on, skates. And
Dude, that's crazy.
I love it, but I hate it. Last thing to mention here, we could go through a couple quick mentions. Alonzo Menafield with a shoulder choke, which was incredible. That was such a like a weird submission, but
it almost looked like he was in trouble, but he was winning.
Yeah.
I was watching that and I'm like, Water Buffalo's gonna get it. Water Buffalo's gonna get it. What the fuck is happening? Like, I'm like, why are you submitting? You're on the bottom. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It really shows that Menafield's got quite the choke, man. When you could choke somebody with your shoulder, I was like, holy shit.
That's insane.
Another one that sticks out obviously is Nurmagomedov against Gudin. Kind of surprised he didn't get the finish, but Gudin's a tough opponent. But I was happy with that decision.
But he showed his striking ability and that he was good standing. And and he kept the fight standing a lot more than I thought he would.
Yeah.
And I think the bookmakers had that as decision or submission, either way. So.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it kind of went as planned.
If you registered for that Proper 12 dartboard, we're going to be announcing if there is a winner later on today on the Twitters.
The drama.
I don't think anybody won it. I mean, listen.
Yeah, I went 3-2. So.
I had every fight right except the last one. I mean, so if somebody had the same picks as me but went Ngannou by knockout.
Wait, you had every fight right but the last one?
Up until that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I had them all.
Okay, so you had Malarkey? Nice. Worthy.
We're getting good. Well, you're getting good.
Yeah, but I missed the most important one.
Yeah, but you know what? If people were to cherry pick the picks, you got to figure you had all of them right except for the last one. I had the last one correct.
Yeah,
like I had Francis by knockout. I think I did say second round. I don't remember. I have to go back and watch the video.
I missed it twice because I bet the fight. I bet Stipe to win, and I bet it would go over a round and a half. So when the first round ended,
that's extra hurtful.
I was like, all right, 230. We only got to get halfway through this round, and I at least win something.
Wow. Well, hey, that wraps up another episode. We're going to be back. I think maybe we'll do some specialty show for Friday. Yeah. Maybe we'll pick like our dream matchups for 2021. Cool. Just because this weekend there's no UFC fight, they're taking a break. They'll be back with Till versus Vittori. That's gonna be
great too.
An awesome fight.
Your dream matchup is Askren against the YouTube kid.
Thank you for watching the podcast. Greatly appreciate you. Don't forget to check out Serenity CBD. I'm always pointing, but here. Don't forget to check out this guy up here, Serenity CBD. He's the man. And you can get that promo code WSN15, and you can save 15% off. I can't recommend the capsules enough. I need to get some more. I'm running out. But make sure that you check out Serenity CBD. Mike Broadwell, as always, joining. Thank you to Fish. Thank you to Adam. And we will be back on a Friday.